Hi, everybody. This is Mim Minicello, President of Employee Benefits and Hub International in New England, and I'm here with my friend Jeff Faber, Chief Strategy Officer for Hub International, working out of the Chicagoland area. So glad to be here with you, Jeff. Thanks for doing this with me.
Oh, thanks for having me here, Mim. Appreciate it.
Great. So for those of you who don't know us, just a 2-second commercial, hopefully, if this doesn't hurt you too much. Hub International is a top 5 insurance consulting broker across the U.S. We've got 35 offices in New England, about 600 employees that we're working with here. And we are a multi-line consultant, so basically there's no risk that our team can't figure out a way to handle for you, just so you know who's talking with you today. I am really, really excited to be part of the NEHRA conference. Every year I go to this and really am just in awe of the time that the HR professionals dedicate to themselves. It's sort of like that one time a year where I really get some insight where people try to feed their own souls instead of, as human resources does, feeding the rest of us. So I'm really glad to be here today. And I have an incredibly cool opportunity with Jeff to show you some of the things that are happening at Hub so that you have an understanding of sort of what we're focused on. If you know us a little bit, our mission really is to take a no surprises approach for our clients. That means that we're working through strategic planning, really looking around the corner at what you're going to need, and supporting that strategic planning with guided execution, right? We've got to make sure that we don't leave you out there with a nice plan. But the idea is to kind of get in the trenches with our clients and figure out their problems if we're good at it before they even know that they have problems. And so that's led us to a lot of innovation across the country. And it's sort of my favorite thing about working at Hub. And Jeff, I'm sure there's a million for you too, is that we are allowed to innovate locally. And what you put together for us and what we're going to show everybody over the next 10 or 12 minutes or so is a real, gives us real insight. Again, like I said, look around the corner at what might be troubling you in the future. So with that as background, I'm going to talk a little bit with Jeff about something he built for us called a persona tool. Those of you who have not seen this, I think this is going to be super interesting for you. So Jeff, let's just talk a little bit about, oh, I forgot to say this. Sorry, everybody. I just want to say thank you to the NEHRA team too for giving us an opportunity to do this. Their partnership and wisdom is outstanding, and I feel stronger working with them. So to the NEHRA team, just thanks a lot. Anyway, sorry, Jeff, back to persona. So talk a little bit about why you and the team decided to even put persona together and a little bit about what it is, etc.
Sure. I appreciate the time. About 6-7 years ago, we realized that we were missing a huge gap in our understanding. We're really good around the claims and the monthly claims and enrollment. We're really good about what's prevalent in the market. What we were missing was what was important to the people. And so we leveraged what we've had on our network for years and years and years, census data, and try to figure out how to better understand all the people in a specific plan. And what we were finding was companies back 10 years ago or so were trying to find a one-size-fits-all approach, trying to go with one plan that was typically a higher deductible plan, moving forward in a progressive fashion. And it's the year-over-year role of just let's pass on cost increases to the people and then maybe put in a couple cost-cutting or mitigation ideas. And we felt that we were missing corners of our population significantly, and that a large swath of our populations weren't even caring about medical plans because they weren't on it. When ACA came out and everyone under age 26, or about 75% of people under age 26 were on their mom and dad's plan, we realized that's another gap for our population. So we built the persona analysis tool to essentially walk a mile in everybody's shoes and make sure that we have a portfolio approach for every part of our population, from our brand new hire, a fresh face, to that person who's been there 30 years and is probably thinking about, is this the year for retirement for me? And everybody in between. And that's what's really been cool about it, is it forces us to think a little bit differently and makes us a little bit uncomfortable getting out of our own shoes and walking a mile in someone else's.
am constantly challenged by the things that data shows us that we hadn't actually thought about. So, doing the best we can, like you said, the quagmire of getting the cost for benefits through so that it doesn't hurt people and still brings some value. I mean, that is a age-old conundrum here. So,
well, yeah, and I think the one issue that we certainly have is when we're HR, we get so in the annual process of things that we look at what we call the fat middle, right, where 80% of your population is, or maybe where 80% of your claims are, and we miss the outskirts of our population. And so what we found is that it's not only a good plan management tool for healthcare, but it's also a good tool for retention, attraction, helping you better study your turnover, maybe even studying why people are absent from work. And so we found that data doesn't necessarily give us the answer, but it gives us locations on where that answer might be.
Great. So let's show everybody some of the
Sure.
great insights you can get from the tool itself.
Sure, absolutely. So our persona tool is very holistic. It takes your census data, compares it with book of business data. It also compares it with US Census Tract data and some proprietary databases that we've subscribed to or acquired. And at the end of the day, what we try to do is look at things very holistically, top down of this is your corporate culture. And so we've made these 7 easy to digest cohorts within a population. And very simply, it's the years of service across the top and age down the side. That's where we start. So that first column are the 4 types of people that you can hire in any given year, from that new entrant, that fresh face that we talked to, all the way to a late stage hire. And ultimately what we want to do is help people take those people who might consider in the first year, this is a job, and move them into this is a career. And that's where the transitional workers, the founders, and that forgotten middle come in. The founders are folks who describe themselves as employee number 7, or the people that say, I remember when we were just this or just that. And they really have a long memory. They help build that initial culture, and they're fire keepers for that initial culture. They're interested in very different things at this stage of their career. And often they have grandfathered life insurance benefits or grandfathered disability benefits. Your transitional workers, where a lot of companies really focus on onboarding, career pathing, and investment, try and get people trained up to that next level, because they're no longer a new entrant. They're no longer a technical hire or a mid-career hire. They're people that are just moving beyond that. They're starting to manage other people. And then stuck in the middle is, I think, where we all are. I'm technically here as well, is that forgotten middle. And this is where typically 60% of a population resides. And this is these are the folks that are starting to develop long-term claims from a costs perspective, but then also they carry a lot of benefits baggage. They know for good or for bad what the company had in place 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Inertia is a very powerful force of non-action, of inaction. And what we have to do is find different ways to engage with this population to help them engage in the plan. They are truly where a lot of our low-hanging fruit might be as consultants.
I love these groupings because, again, it kind of tips things on its ear, Jeff. So I'm really happy that you gave us some actionable categories to kind of figure out, okay, if I think about my people in this segment, what is it I need to do for them? And again, the typical census chopping, I guess you could get there if you were really cubing this stuff, but this does graphically allow us to just say, okay, what are we doing for each of these constituencies?
What's neat too is it connects kind of the head and the heart. A lot of our HR teams that we work with have that gut feel that, okay, something's not right here. This is where I tend to lose people. And this helps us actually get into the nitty gritty of, here's the plan offering, here's what might that cohort's expectations be on benefits, and here's the cost to someone who has 3 children, a spouse, and 2 minivans and a mortgage to pay for. Very different from trying to attract a 25-year-old fresh out of school who might still be on their mom and dad's plan.
Right on. Great. So let's talk tactics for a
Sure.
second. What are we doing with this data? I know our team is using it pretty vibrantly with their clients, and I know your team is as well. So let's just give the people a few stories of what you can do if you can see inside your population.
Yeah, I think that a few of the epiphanies that we have, I mean, one very simply comes to life on this slide, whereas the forgotten middle tends to have low engagement in their current station. Um, Often we might hire a brand new mid-career hire coming from somewhere else that's described as, oh, we just add water, we just get them in here and they're going to ready and hit the ground running. The epiphany that a couple employers will make is, wow, that person is actually someone else's forgotten middle. And so they still carry the benefits baggage and that low engagement of maybe their prior employer. And so when we get them here, we can really need to scale them up, but also we need to help them shed a lot of the baggage that they had at the prior employer. And so how do you do that? A fairly robust, direct, micro-targeted onboarding campaign, right? Getting them integrated right away and removing a lot of the fear, a lot of the other roadblocks to their success at their prior employer. Those types of things can really supercharge your hiring process and your onboarding process to get that person to up and running as quickly as possible. Another epiphany that we've had that kind of connected our C-suite, the CFO with our CHRO on a case was in that mid-career box again, where gaps are solved in negotiation. Our CFO didn't understand that of the last 20 hires that a company had made in that area, 18 of them had asked for additional money added to their base compensation because the benefits plan was perceived as low value. And so the CFO didn't realize that, holy cow, every year I'm paying money on the benefits plan, but not through the benefits plan itself. I'm actually paying money through the salary line. And so how does that connect with the total costs? And that was a really big epiphany for that group too.
Terrific insight. That's the thing that standard benchmarking just can't show you.
Right.
Like, how your benefits are set up. That's great. And you get a picture and a chart and all that kind of stuff. But what does it mean to these constituents? And then that, for me, that's the superpower here.
Right. And then we go a step farther too. It's not just these cohorts. It is overlaying US Census Tract data. And so if we know where people live and how many mouths they have to feed and what they bring home, and perhaps what their spouse or partner has coverage wise as well, we can start to derive additional information to break into, let's eschew age and service. And let's start talking about buying behaviors. We know that people who are financially strapped, who are financially fragile, where 78% of the US population is within 2 or 3 months of being bankrupt or maxed out on their credit cards without an income. Right. We know that if we can look at our population, figure out who is financially fragile and in what plans are they in, and what are they spending as a percentage of their gross income on contributions, we can really derive some good insights and actions into that. We can also model empty nesters, single income households, single parents especially. That helps us drive additional insights.
Again, just a terrific way, again, to tip the data. This is not just demographically stratified, but you're layering in, like you said, this outside data source, which helps you give new insight beyond. So I'm taking benchmarks, I'm taking survey data that I might normally have, and this, again, gives me just different ways to meet my team's need, so I can keep them as engaged as I possibly can.
Yeah, and our new version of this analysis actually we used to be able to only do zip codes. Now we can do that zip code +4. So we can really get into the individual census tract data. And so not only can we tell how far $100,000 will get you in Manhattan, New York versus Manhattan, Kansas, but also we can get down to almost a neighborhood level of average incomes, people without access to robust healthcare or robust food sources, et cetera. So we can really derive better and better results for our customers.
Well, I love this, Jeff. Thank you for taking a few minutes here. I know that for me, it just piques the beginning of the conversation and not keep this thing going for like 3 hours, but just all due respect to NEHRA, I will say thanks so much for your time. I really, really appreciate you giving me a few minutes. And to everybody at the NEHRA conference, hope you're having a terrific event. And thanks to Tracy and Team NEHRA. And we'll talk to you later. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Mim. Thank you, NEHRA.